Friends, welcome to Salesforce CRMA 𝘋𝘢𝘵𝘢𝘴 video session 170. So basically in today's video, we will discuss about the attributes which are present for each of the three data types which we use in CRMA 𝘋𝑢𝑴. So basically the attributes of measures, dimension and dates in a CRMA 𝘋𝑢𝑴 lens and how we can utilize that. It's a very simple thing and I will just quickly show you how those can be utilized as well. So clicking on this app launcher, I will go to the Analytics Studio. We'll take the reference of the same data set, of course. And here, like if you see, this is the count of rows, right? Now, if I want, let's say I go for sum of amount and maybe under past, I can take something like, let's say industry, okay? So this is the thing. Now, for example, here the sum of amount, which is there, I can actually, these are basically known as the attributes. For example, here, if you click on this drop down, these are some of the attributes which are there for this measure. And if you click on this drop down, these are some of the attributes which are present for this dimension. Okay. So I think I already walked you through like what are measures, dimensions, and dates. Okay. So that's the thing. Now here, if you just go for sort descending, it will actually, as you can see, it has sorted out this whole thing in descending order. Similarly, if you click on sort ascending, this is completely done in the ascending order. Okay. So that's the way we can play around with this. Now we have this option of sort within groups and sort within groups of ascending. So what happens is, for example, right now, if I bring something like the average of amount, in that case, we can also play around with that. Just a moment. Okay, correctly, it's not there. Let's check this one as well. Okay, so I think this is something different. We will walk through this later. But as of now, let's take the sum of amount only. Fine. And here you have this. Yeah, you have this option of sorting descending, sorting ascending, as well as if you want to set the null order value, that part also you can do. Okay, so if there's a certain null, so basically if there are certain null values and if you want to show them, you can show them at last or you can show them at first. Okay, that way we can also do that part. Fine. So currently I don't have any null values, so that is not required, but that option can definitely be available where you have certain null values and if you want to show them with certain thing, if you want to show them at last. Okay. Now that's about clearing the sort. So if you completely want to clear the sort, it will clear the sort out. Okay. As you can see, currently again, these two options are enabled because I clear the sort. Okay. So that's the whole thing about this one. Now, if you want to clone the column, so example, I just clone this column and let's say I just, yeah, I can clone this column as well. That is one part. And if you want to edit the column, for example, I want to, and this is something I've shown you last time, like if certain editing has to be done, fine, and we can walk through this in details when I will teach you how we can do some simple calculation. At that time we'll walk through, but that is one option also which is available. And if you want to rename the column, for example, I want to write it something like amount summation. Okay, so that way I can rename the column as well. Add a filter, I already walked through. If you want to format the columns, for example, currently this is something which you want to show in numbers or in percentage or in currency. That part also you can do. Let's say I want to show it as currency rounded or just currency, for example. Okay, so that part can be done. Let me just now delete this one. So as you can see, this is being shown up as currency. I think it was anyhow showing up. If I go for no format, okay, with no format is just showing the 27 million if you see. But if I just format this one right to currency, it will actually show me the dollar symbol as well. Okay, so that is something which we can definitely do over here. Fine, and yeah, other things will come up based upon how we want to move up or move down that part. So for example, if I take something like the average of amount, okay, so I can just write the amount. Maybe I can just rename this as well to something like, maybe like, let me write the whole thing. Okay, average amount. And here, so if I want to move up, I can move up, or if I want to move down. So these options are available when you have two or more measures. Okay, that part is there. And if you want to hide the average of amount, so you can hide it over here. So what happens? This is currently hidden. So that calculation is there. So after that, actually, you can only delete this. Okay, so we have this option of showing up, which I told you if you go to compare table, you can actually show up. I have shown that in one of the session, but right now in the chart mode, you can delete it. For example, if I just go to compare table, I can again click on the show and again it will come back. Okay, so again I can come back to chart mode. So that is the thing about this one. So that's the thing about average. So let me just move this down. Right. So these are some of the options. You can sort it by ascending, descending, ascending. This part we can show later as well. I will show you later how these things can be done. Okay, you can clearing the sort. You can set the null order values if there are certain nulls. If you want to show, you have that option whether you want to show them at first or whether you want to show them at last. Okay, you can clone the columns the way I did and I renamed it. Okay, and you can edit the column, rename the column. You can format the columns. Okay, you can hide as well as you can delete it from here. Okay, so I delete option of course. I was using it all the time. That is completely fine. Okay, the next part is the dimension part. Now, what are the options which will come? So here again, if you want to sort by descending, so now here it will be done in the terms of alphabetical order. So for example, for each of the words, the first letter which it contains, based on that, it will get sorted out. For example, when I go for industry descending, as you can see, the U is coming first. After that, you have the T options. Okay, so when two letters are same, it will compare the next one. So for example, R is greater than E, right? That's why that is coming. It doesn't depend on the length of the words, it's upon the first letter which is there for each alphabetical order. That's how it's being sorted out when it comes to sorting in the dimension part. Okay, you can clear the sort as well over here. Now here of course I don't have any null order value, but if there were certain null order values I could have done that as well. So for example, when I'm sorting by descending and if I see some null order values, that part the same thing which we understood in the measures as well. Okay, then you can of course rename the column. For example, let's say I just name it as something like verticals instead of, so another name for industry is verticals. Let's say instead of industry I want to name it as verticals. I can do that. Okay, I can rename the column and I can hide it. Okay, so that's the way. And here we don't have the part of duplicate, but you can do the same thing with other dimensions also. Okay, so this is the whole thing about this one. Configuration is something maybe we can try to check out in details in one of the sessions, or maybe if the time permits I will just cover in this session as well. And now let's take another one. Let's say opportunity close date, and I take it as something like year month. Fine. Now what are the options, attributes which you can see over here? Of course you can sort it by descending. Okay, or let me just do one thing. Let me duplicate this and just take the date part only as of now. So here let the dimension remain. This is just to ensure we can understand it in a bit proper manner. So I will just simply go for sum of amount, let's say, and I here go for just date part, that is year month, for example. Okay, so now if I click on this option, we can actually sort it by descending. As you can see, based on year month, it has gone in a descending order. And if you want, you can sort by ascending. That's completely fine. If you want to set the null order value order, then of course you can do that. Okay, so for example, I want to go for show null values at first. Okay, something like that maybe. So then it will, here of course we don't have any null values, but that option can also be there where you want to show up that null values at the first. Okay, for date we don't have the configure action, but as you can see, you have that move up, move down. So if I take one more, that option will come up. And of course you can hide as well as you can delete. Now there's one more option called so here, for example, let's say I rename this. I think this is fine, I'm not renaming it. But here we have one more option called split dates. Okay, that part is there, that part is specifically there if you have a date field. And now if I go for the split date, basically as you can see, to display the bar you need at least one field for bar length and 0 to 2 field for trellis. Okay, which is fine. Like here basically I need to have one field for bar length. Let's see if I bring something from trellis. Okay, so now basically it has been split into two things. Okay, as you can check over here. So that's the opportunity closed date and opportunity close month. Okay, so that's the way it's done. And here if you see, basically that's the whole thing about year and month. We have the sum of amount, and here I can see like, okay, this is the year and this is the month, and this is how it is split up, as you can see. So for 2030 I have this 05, 06, 07, 08 month. Similarly, if I take the date for, let's say I have taken year month over, if I take for year month, that's how it will split up. For example, let us try one more in a different tab. So let it be the count of rows, and here again I take the opportunity close date, and let's say I go for year month day, and here I will just go for split date once again. Okay, so usually this thing comes up, but I think if I take something from trellis and if I remove it, automatically it pops up. Okay, so for example, if I go for stage, and what I will do, I will just delete this one. Okay, so as you can see, the system popping up over here clearly. So for 2030 05, for 18th, for the day 18th, these are the number of records. For 1920, this is the way it continues. Okay, so that's the way shown up. The trick here is like, once you split the date, basically one error will come up. That is not an error, it's just showing you that you need certain things. So just pop up something on the trellis and just delete that. That way you can see the split dates part as well. Okay, so yeah, these are more or less about all this attributes which are there for this chart mode, and very quickly we can also check for what are some of the attributes which we can have in values table. So for example, if I go to my values table and let's say I take one of the examples. So here you have this option of formatting columns. Okay, this is the way it shows up, and this is something which we have already walked through, so not an issue. And then we can rename it. Okay, so let's say instead of stage, I write something like pipelines. Uh, each stage, each pipelines. Okay, I can just write in something like pipelines. That is fine. That is something we have done previously as well. Okay, and we will just walk through this configuration time permits, and we can very quickly. So there's nothing much actually over here if you see, but we can very quickly check what are the some of the things which we can have on the compare table. So if I go for compare table, and let's say if I go for industry, I think here also you will have the same thing. Okay, so you have the sort ascending, sort descending. Okay, you can actually clone the column, rename, add a filter. You can format the column. So there is one extra option of formatting which you can do as well, which we understood, and you can format the numbers. Okay, let's say I go for sum of amount. Fine. So that's all of the options which are there on the compare table. And here also, if you see, like these are all the same options which we had earlier as well on the chart table. So nothing much of a difference. Okay, on the compare table as well. And let's see if I go to pivot table. Fine. And let's say I take one more, something like billing country. And here, basically, you have all these same options as well, which we had earlier. Okay, so that's not an issue. So yeah, these are some of the attributes which are there. Now, coming back over here, let's say, so I can just quickly save this, something like, so these are some of the attributes which you definitely have. Now, if you bring certain traits as well over here, you will also get to see the same options on the bar, just like you see it. So here also, you will see all the same options as well. Okay. So yeah, that is more or less about this one. There is nothing much to cover on the attributes. And yeah, definitely, when it comes to edit this column, so you can see some options like this definitely pops up. And here, actually, you can change the column area. So column areas is always the way it is, and it is something which comes up in the SQL part. In the SQL portion, we will understand like how we can actually, how the calculation is dealt with these areas. And if you want, you can further change the column header from here as well. Now, if you want to do some basic calculation, that part also we can do. The formatting also is something which we understood. Now here, I'm not quite sure if that option was popping up. So for example, if I go for format numbers, okay, we have this custom as well. Okay, so as you can see here under the format columns, there are several options like no format. You can go for numbers, you can go for percentage, currency. If you want, you can go for custom as well. So there are certain formats. For example, the presets, how you want to present it. You want to present it as a simple number. You can do that. You want to present the comma over here, for example. Okay, that will also you can do. So let's say I just remove this aspect. Okay, I don't want the billing country as well. And I'm just showing it a simple way in this manner, right? Now, if I go for this format numbers and if I go for the customs, okay, let's say I want to show it in a plain number, and if I click on done over here, so that's how it's coming up. I guess that's how it's been rounded off somehow. I think I have to change some options from here maybe under the formatting. But anyways, we can just check that later as well. But here, as you can see, like there are different kind of formats as you can do with the custom as well. Okay. So if there's a certain comma, if there's a certain decimal digit you want to show up, fine. Let's say you want to show up in a dollar symbol. Okay. If you want to show the point symbol, point mark as well, that part, we can do it. I think I have to make it ensure that it's not rounded up. That part I can just simply do it from somewhere. I think I already walked you through some of the sessions. Let's say I go for number simple. Okay, as you can see, the comma parts are now coming up over here. Similarly, if I don't want to get the comma, so for example, here I can choose something like this one. If I click on done, as you can see, that's how the comma part is coming up. So yeah, these are some of the attributes which are there for the three different data types, that is measures, dates, and dimensions. And yeah, these are some of the ways you can actually cross check as well and walk through yourself to understand it much more in a better manner. But yeah, definitely wanted to walk through this one. And similarly, these are some of the attributes. I mean, there is no different attributes in different tables. So I'm not saving those kind of stuff. So yeah, I can just keep one part of it. Okay. So yeah, that's it about this video. Let's meet very soon in our next one. Thank you.